want to find out, or the Congress wants to find out, will be obvious from those minutes. What could possibly be wrong with foundations? They do so much good. Well, in the face of that sincere conviction of Catherine's, I went out of my way not to prejudice her in any way. But I did explain to her that she couldn't possibly cover 50 years of handwritten minutes in 2 weeks. So she would have to do what we call spot reading. And I blocked out certain periods of time to concentrate on. And off she went to New York. She came back at the end of 2 weeks with the following in the way of, on dictaphone belts. We are now at the year 1908, which was the year that the Carnegie began operations. And in that year, the trustees, meeting for the first time, raised a specific question, which they discussed throughout the balance of the year in a very learned fashion. And the question is there any means known more effective than war, assuming you wish to alter the life of an entire people? And they conclude that no more effective means than war to that end is known to humanity. And finally, of course, the war is over. At that time, their interest shifts over to preventing what they call a reversion of life in the United States to what it was prior to 1914, when World War I broke out. And they arrive at that point, they come to the conclusion that to prevent a reversion, we must control education in the United States. And they realize that that's a pretty big task. So to them, it is too big for them alone, so they approach the Rockefeller Foundation with the suggestion that that portion of education which could be considered domestic be handled by the Rockefeller Foundation, and that portion which is international should be handled by the endowment. And they then decide that the key to the success of these two operations lay in an alteration of the teaching of American history.
Alice Bailey stated, in the externalization of the hierarchy, educators and psychologists of vision in every country must be mobilized, and the pattern of things to come for the children must be intelligently determined. This will have to be done on an international scale, and with the wisdom which comes from a grasp of intermediate need and a far-sighted vision. Ladies and gentlemen, Lucis Trust is no fringe group. Anyone who has studied the New World Order realizes the power that is held by men such as John D. Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, and through organizations such as the Council on Foreign Relations. These men are heavily involved with and have set up in many occasions these tax-exempt foundations which undermine the national sovereignty of many nations and draw us closer to a one-world religion enforced by a one-world government.
Now this is from Alice Bailey. She wrote The Externalization of the Hierarchy, and she was head of Lucis Trust. And Lucis Trust, as so many of you already know, is a publishing company. Lucis Publishing is a publishing company for the United Nations. And it was originally known as Lucifer Publishing and Lucifer Trust. And Alice Bailey created 140 New Age religions, and she worked for the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare in 1957, establishing educational goals that are now being implemented in the United States. For instance, Global 2000. And she writes that Freemasonry will be the universal religion Other New Age leaders like Benjamin Creme also say the same thing, that Freemasonry will be the new universal religion. And she says that between the church and esoteric groups and Freemasonry, there is no disassociation between all of these. So if you're a member of a group like Freemasonry, they want you to work towards this goal of one world government and the New Age that they call the Great Plan. And Alice Bailey tells us how they're going to do this. She says, by means of the educational work of the world, the Great Lord, who she refers to in this book as Lucifer, seeks to reach those of the intelligent public who cannot be reached by means of ceremonial and symbolism as in Masonry, or by religious means and rituals as in the church. It touches the masses and those in whom the intelligent aspects predominate. What she's telling us here is, and we'll read it again in this next one, is the three main channels through which the preparation for the New Age is going on might be regarded as the church, the Masonic fraternity, and the educational field. We're going to get them in the churches to bring in this New Age. But not everybody goes to church. So we'll teach them in the fraternities. But not everybody goes to a Masonic lodge. So then the safety net for it all is education. We're in a period of what is called externalization of the hierarchy. They're taking what was done in secret 100 years ago and they're externalizing what was done by the hierarchy in secret into society.
As we have already seen, The Conspiracy is Spiritual in Nature. Probably the most important book written by Alice Bailey was Externalization of the Hierarchy. This book details the setting up of a New World Order. But this is not the New World Order that many in the Truth Movement are aware of. Instead, it is a New World Order that will rise out of the ashes of the Old World Order. The old ways will be done away with in the New World Order. Evil in Bailey's writings is associated with having, quote, a nationalistic, separative, or isolationist spirit, unquote. When one compares the New World Order envisioned by Lucius Trust and the United Nations and compares it with the Venus Project, the similarities are unmistakable. The Venus Project, with its ties to the United Nations, has put forward through the Zeitgeist films the utopian dream of the elite. This has been envisioned at least since the time of Plato and was described by people such as Rosicrucian, Sir Francis Bacon. The dream of the elite is to recreate Atlantis. Alice Bailey stated in The Externalization of the Hierarchy, if this work is soundly done, then a world unity can be established which will produce right human relations, a sound world politic, a united spiritual effort, and an economic sharing which will bring to an end all competition and the present uneven distribution of the necessities of life. In the future, the contributory factor in life must be emphasized and developed, and the good of the entire family of nations must be substituted for the good of one nation or a group of nations. The resources of the entire planet must be shared collectively, and it must be increasingly realized that the products of the earth, the gifts of the soil, the intellectual heritage of the nations belong to the whole of mankind and to no one nation exclusively. Speaking in America's Assignment with Destiny, Manly P. Hall stated the following: this vision must be communicated. It must be extended throughout human society until humanity redeems itself by the experience of enlightenment.
And here's from another Freemason, high-ranking, Foster Bailey, and he says, little as it may be realized by the unthinking Mason who is interested only in the outer aspects of the craftwork, the whole fabric of Masonry may be regarded as an externalization of that inner spiritual group whose members down the ages have been custodians of the plan and as those to whom has been committed the working out of the will of God for the race of men. They assist at the unfolding of the consciousness of the candidate until the time comes when he can enter into light and in his turn become a light bearer, one of the Illuminati who can assist the lodge on high in bringing humanity to light.
The hierarchy is also being externalized through media giants such as Oprah.
That what I believe is that Jesus came to show us Christ consciousness.
Alice Bailey stated the following: humanity has been brought in consciousness increasingly nearer to the spiritual centers of love and life, and has been stimulated to make spiritual progress, to awaken to the light within, to unfold the Christ consciousness, and to find the path of light which leads to divinity.
The inspiration came out of that brilliant record that she wrote, Born This Way. And what's actually happening, as you saw the vessel, is that she's incubating. And it was necessary to incubate her for a certain amount of time, because tonight she's actually birthing a new race. We're birthing a new race that doesn't have the ability to hate or judgment in their DNA. So she's actually incubating right now. So she goes through that process. And it's really happening. We're birthing a new race tonight.
She is the biggest pop star in the world. Her latest song that you heard her fans, her little monsters singing down there, Born This Way, already topping the Billboard charts. Lady Gaga had everyone talking at the Grammys, where she took home another 3 trophies on Sunday. And she is here this morning to talk about a lot of things, but also about the work that she is doing all around the world to help so many others. Take a look. What do you think it is about your music, about this? And I know we have to wait until the full album to come out in the latter part of May, but what is it about it, do you think?
You know, Born This Way is so much bigger than me. It's not about me at all, really. The song, when I wrote it, I just knew it was destined to reach so many people all over the world. And you know, because I wanted to have a rebirth, and I think the universe needs to have a rebirth.
Alice Bailey stated the following: in the externalization of the hierarchy, the slow and careful formation of the new group of world servers is indicative of the crisis they are overseeing or ushering in the new age, and are present at the birth pangs of the new civilization, and the coming into manifestation of a new race, a new culture, and a new world outlook. Later in the book, she goes on to say that, I tell you that humanity is everywhere spiritually minded, and that the new race, the coming civilization, and the new age culture will be found throughout the world, the universal inheritance of the human race. She also stated that the present world order, which is today largely disorder, can be so modified and changed that the new world and the new race of men can gradually come into being. While many believe that the new world order is just about a police state, the fact remains that they are planning for the coming chaos. The most important item in the agenda for the New World Order is unity through the New World spirituality.
These are times of tumultuous change. The 20th century order is history, and the forces of globalization are pushing all of the economies of the world more closely together, and all of the citizens of the world more closely together, with their great diversity of religious faiths. Global interdependence, therefore, is a reality, and faith is inextricably linked to that interdependence.
The new global order brings new uncertainties and new insecurities too. And that has happened most recently in the form of financial turbulence and credit problems, whose origins are clearly international, but whose full implications are still unfolding.
And when I said the words New World Order, I turned a couple of heads. A little shocking. It's a reminiscence of scary George Bush days.
Liberal organizations, including the United Nations, are pursuing the development of a one-world religious organization. Today, on the United Nations 55th anniversary, CBN News reporter Wendy Griffith takes a look at what's behind this push for a global religious voice.